Hey YouTube, Steven the Salon Guy here, and in today's video I'm going to break down some haircuts and why you could possibly have a bad one and how to understand how you should have a better one. Let's start with some men's haircuts and then we'll jump into some women's haircuts. So over the last year or so, everybody seems to have wanted that disconnected haircut where it's completely disconnected here, the top is a lot longer, and then this side is blended in a little bit, you know, very complex type haircut. So here's where this could possibly go wrong. One, if this part here is actually brought up way too high or it's brought way too low. So basically what I like to do, and if you're talking to your stylist or your barber, you want to make sure they're doing this the right way. And if something looks off, just make sure you have every right to kind of stop them and say, hey, something doesn't look right, my hair doesn't fall this way where you have the parting. Because the best way is to realize where the hair naturally parts. So if somebody tries to give you a disconnection where it's too low, where the hair is kind of below where it rounds off into here, well, guess what? The hair's gonna wanna constantly keep falling down this way. And that's what happens. I hear comments all the time where, oh, my hair keeps falling over this way. Well, it's because the undercut or whatever, this connection in the parting area is left way too low, which means that the hair is so heavy and the natural growth pattern makes the hair wanna fall down this way. So you wanna make sure that you're having it disconnected where the hair will naturally split so that this hair will be separated and this hair will just kind of stay back because that's where the proper hair growth is. Also keep in mind you don't want to go too high either, because if you go too high, it's just not going to look natural. So I always try to stay within the corner right into here in the recession line where it actually naturally goes back. Now as far as keeping it blended on the other side, really what it comes down to is you want to make sure that the stylist understands that, like, you know, you can create some sort of disconnection through here while blending it in. I think this definitely ends up working out better when this is dry, this part into here, because you can really see how the hair is falling. So you want to make sure your stylist is really paying a lot of attention to how they're cutting the hair. You want to make sure that they're actually holding the hair straight up and they're layering it properly and they're actually still giving you a proper haircut, not just shaving this off here, shaving this, and then just combing it over, because this will absolutely look really bad and won't grow out too well either, and it'll be very, very heavy. So, you know, that's probably a big reason why your haircuts aren't actually laying properly too. So speaking of layering, even on a men's hair, you want to make sure that when the stylist or the barber is cutting your hair, you want to make sure that everything is pretty balanced and well even throughout the top. And you want to make sure they're really continuing to follow the head shape. They're pulling everything straight out from the head and they're really taking their time. And the reason is you want this to grow out really, really well. If they're cutting corners, guess what? The hair's not gonna flow well. You're gonna have pieces that are a lot longer. You're gonna have a lot of problems. So keep in mind, the hair grows out from the head this way. Let me just lower this a little bit so you can see better. Everyone's hair has natural growth patterns. So sometimes the side will grow down this way, or this side will grow that way, and the opposite side of this, you know, everyone's hair grows differently. Sometimes the hair here likes to grow forward, sometimes there's calyx. You wanna just make sure that whoever is cutting your hair, that they're really taking their time and they're following the proper balance of the haircut. And when you cut the hair where it grows out from the head, it actually is going to make things a lot easier, and it's going to help grow out a lot better too, especially when you're looking for some nice flowing layers like this. Here's another example. For this, you want to make sure, this could be a traditional men's haircut, that you're pulling everything straight up from the head and you're following the head shape. Depending on the type of look you want, again, you can create some disconnection in through here, but all of this really comes down to being very, very thorough. Check it in multiple ways. Cross-checking is very, very important. So you might want to cut horizontally this way, but then you want to go back in and kind of check this way to make sure that everything is well balanced. You can also hold the hair out horizontally this way. Holding the hair out horizontally will give you a good picture of really what's going on. Now, if you're looking to create some disconnection and you pull this over like this and you see, oh, there's a lot of pieces that are a lot longer, well, that's because we're purposely cutting that. But if you're looking for a well-balanced haircut, and you start to pull everything straight out and you're starting to see pieces that are way off, that means you have to go back in and kind of go back to where you cut those pieces and then see what causes the problem. Now let's talk about women's hair and longer haircuts. So this is kind of like my signature, what I call my money layered haircut. And I can cut this hair and the hair will actually grow out looking beautiful and keep its shape for months and months. And the key to doing these types of haircuts is I like to cut wet into dry. So you want to make sure that when your stylist is cutting everything, if they feel that they're confident, let them do their thing. Sometimes when you're challenging the stylist and asking them questions, it's just going to make things a lot worse. Now, mind you, if you know your hair, you know this is gonna happen to it, then fine. But a lot of times, you really want to make sure the stylist is being very, very thorough with every single section. And I myself, I take at least an hour to cut someone's hair. And for these types of haircuts, it's really a pretty basic, haircut. Everything's pulled out straight from the head. But it might sound basic and simple, but I put so much time and effort into it that when I cut it, as it all grows out, it just grows out with a beautiful shape so that everything just kind of falls right into place. And as you can see into here, the way the layers are flowing, this is a very, very, really, really nice haircut. And this is something I think looks beautiful on any woman, especially if she wants to keep her hair longer. You can do the same haircut with it shorter as well. But the reason you could be having a bad haircut from when someone attempts something like this is it's not properly balanced. And I see this all the time. Women come into me from all over the place, and a lot of times I'm looking at the hair, I'm just seeing that it's not properly balanced this way. And there's a lot of uneven, unbalanced layers, and it's just gonna cause your hair not to flow properly. So just make sure that the stylist is really being thorough with how they cut the hair, and they're checking everything to make sure it's all even. With Pixie haircuts, which I absolutely love doing, it looks short, you think it's simple, but you really have to make sure you're adding a lot of that texture into the haircut. And you wanna keep in mind that sometimes shorter is better. Don't be afraid, ladies, if you wanna wear something a little bit shorter, because sometimes it ends up working out better for your hair. And I've had loads and loads of clients where they might be like, oh, it's so short, but then the next time they're like, oh, cut it shorter. So you really wanna make sure you're paying attention. You wanna do maybe, wet into dry as far as your cutting. When you get into the top here, the key to a haircut like this is texturizing. You wanna make sure you're adding some texture. I like to do this when it's almost completely dry after I'm done cutting. You can do point cutting techniques, you can do twist techniques. You wanna really put the finishing touches on the haircut. And ladies, if you get home and you notice that it's just heavy, it doesn't have any movement, it's probably because the stylist did not go in and add any texture to the pixie cut. That is really, really essential to having a great short haircut. And lastly, here's a bit of a longer pixie haircut. Have you ever felt that, oh shit, it's so heavy in the front and it's just one big clump of hair that comes down and there's no texture, no movement to it? Well, guess what? That's probably because there isn't. Even with it short but a bit longer, this can easily get heavy and just look like a big clump of hair. So you want to make sure that when the stylist is done drying your hair, that they actually go back in and they can either take a razor to add some texture to this, or a thinning shear, or something to make sure they're adding more texture to this. Even if it's a little bit longer, that is what's going to create that movement for you and those different styling options, because you can sweep it over this way, you can take out some pieces and really point it out this way, and you can have a lot of fun with it. If it's too heavy, the hair is not going to have any movement whatsoever. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to be going back to kind of my old schedule, posting videos 3 days a week. So I hope that we can get back on track with things. I know I haven't been as active as doing hair stuff because of my injury, but I'm trying to get back on track for you guys. And I appreciate all the support. So thank you guys so much for watching. We're almost at 500,000, man, almost. So I'll see you next time for more videos with The Salon Guy.